Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation. Oh, not a problem at all. And with that, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
No worries. Thank you.
Well, it's an absolute honor to be able to do this as one of my favorite musicians in all of music. It's a great honor to be able to talk to you about some brand new Sonata Arctica, which is just coming out in just a couple weeks now.
Yeah, it is. We're also looking forward to see what people are going to think about it. It's always an interesting time, just a few weeks leading up to the album release.
And with that in mind, I mean, what's it like now with just a couple weeks now until the album release to finally have this coming out so soon now?
Well, we're excited, of course, but luckily we have had shows every weekend, festivals now here in Finland and in Europe as well. So we have had a lot on our minds and a lot of things to keep us occupied instead of just having to sit back home and tap our fingers and wait for the album to come out. But it's going to be really, really exciting to see what kind of response the album is going to get. It's tense.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I mean, obviously with now being able to do some press for the album, I just got the album yesterday, so I haven't gotten as much listens to it as I was hoping to, but I'm really enjoying what's going on with where Sonata Arctica is right now in 2019. I mean, it totally fits the mood of where you guys have been over the last couple albums. I mean, it feels like of this current era of where the band is right now. It feels like it's the most freshest the band has been, and I really like everything that's going on between the experimentation and just really feeling like you're truly being what Sonata Arctica is meant to be right now.
Well, I mean, thanks. I'm glad you think so. I mean, that's what we feel as well. And as you said, the new album, I think it's pretty much pretty close or pretty much in line with the last couple of albums. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens next from here. But at the moment, I think we are in a good place where most of the stuff that we've been doing over the years, you can hear that in our music today, and there are all kinds of influences and some new stuff going on as well. And it's at least the music feels really fresh and interesting to us at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, I mean, obviously it's been a few years now in between albums, and what was it like to start the songwriting process for this new album?
Well, I mean, Tony writes the songs, so it's not we're not that involved until we get to the point where he starts to play us his demos that he makes at home. But from talking to him, he started writing already during the tour for the ninth hour. The way we like to tour is that we go home for a few weeks between every leg, and during those times he started to write stuff already. And I think last summer, 2018, he already had a bunch of demos that we could listen to together and talk about these songs. And I think most of the songs were ready then, so it was easy then in the fall to just get together and start rehearsing and start hammering it out.
And what was it like when, obviously with the band going through so many changes over the years, I mean, when you do start working on a new album and you start getting the new music from Tony, I mean, what was it like this time around hearing what he had in store?
Well, it was exciting, as it usually is. I think the songs seem to fit quite well together. Sometimes that's not the case, and sometimes when he has a bunch of demos, we have to kick some of the songs out because they don't fit. And this time everything seemed to fall into place really, really easily. And so it was just a matter of listening to the songs a few times and then started to rehearse them together. And I think it was one of the easiest albums to make, at least for me personally, so far.
Oh, and that's great. It's such a great thing to hear that too. I mean, when the songwriting is starting to come up there, and when you're recording a new album, it can always seem to be somewhat of a stressful time, and it's great to hear that it did go so smooth, and it was such an easier time being able to record the album.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, of course, in the moment there are sometimes stressful times, and then there can be parts that can be a bit tricky to play and stuff like that. So, I mean, we still had to work at it. But I think as a whole, yeah, I think it was quite smooth. It was just a matter of doing the work and putting in the hours, and also for the first time now we have had an outside producer with us, Mikko Tegelman, our front of house guy, and. We wanted to bring him in so that we could try to make an album that sounds closer to what the band sounds when we play live. And I think he did a tremendous job helping us out to achieve that. And I think also he was a big part why the process was quite smooth.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring that up as well, too. I mean, as much as I've gotten to hear the album so far, I mean, it does feel like it is almost like a live album. It feels like every song on the album was meant to be played live, and I really enjoy that feeling for that reason.
Yeah, it is totally, and also, I mean, we played when we started tracking the album. We recorded drums and bass at the same time. It was just like the four of us, no vocals, but the four of us playing together, and then we just recorded the drums and bass, and then we did some overdubs later with the guitar and keyboards. But as a whole, we're really aiming to capture that feeling of the band playing together. And I think we managed to do that, and Mikko was a huge part in helping us achieve that and kicking us in the ass, so to speak, to make us, to get the songs to work as much as possible and rehearse and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we pretty much managed to do what we set out to do this time.
Yeah, and I can imagine, even though I haven't been able to hear the songs in the live setting yet, I imagine when you start to incorporate more songs from the new album live, it will be that much easier to be able to translate them live for that reason.
I hope so, yeah. And I think, I mean, we haven't really had problems translating the songs live before, but the sound is quite different live. But I think with this album, it's going to be closer to what you hear in the album. It's going to be closer to what you're going to hear live as well.
Yeah, and with it as well, like you were saying before when we first started, there's been a lot of live shows that have been going on. I mean, what's it like right now as far as the live setting of Sonata Arctica in 2019 right now?
What do you mean? Like?
Well, I mean, what's it like right now, like playing these live shows and then, getting ready for the new album coming out in just a couple weeks now?
Yeah, well, it's busy. I mean, the thing is, I'm really happy that we started playing festival shows already in June, and we've been playing every weekend this summer. And I think it was really good to get back on the road before the album is out, because then you can go out and play old songs and get the band back into the groove again before you have to present this new music to people. So I think it has been really good, and we played only the first single, Little Less Understanding, live so far. And then, of course, when we come over to the States, we're going to play some more tracks from the album. But I think it was good to get some shows under our belt and get everything together before we start to present new music.
So, with that in mind, I mean, obviously being able to get these shows out and playing the single off the album, A Little Less Understanding, what was the reception for the song live?
Well, I mean, people seem to enjoy it, but it's really hard. Whenever you play new music, people kind of stop and listen. And then, like when you play the old hits, you played Full Moon or something like that, people go crazy because they know the song and they don't have to listen to it and figure out what's going on. But that's always when you release a new album and you start playing new music, people seem to maybe they react a little bit differently for the new songs. They tend to listen a bit more and not just go wild.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense, because a lot of people are hearing it possibly for the very first time, and there's some people that will have already heard it. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see what that reaction is, and then getting more familiar with playing that song live. That way, when you start to do like the full album promotion in the live setting, and then you get more familiar with playing that live, then you really get to see what the reaction is.
Yeah, that's true. But it's, I mean, from my experience, how I feel is like when you go out to tour to support an album, you don't really know what the initial or what the end result's going to be with how people react to the songs, unless until the next album tour. For example, now when we go out and play the songs from the last album, you see how they react. If they still like it or not, But yeah, it's the same thing with every time you release an album, so it's nothing new. But people tend to listen more when it's new stuff. And as you said, a lot of people hear it for the first time, so it makes total sense.
Oh, totally. So, with that in mind, of course, you were mentioning with a little less understanding being the single off the album. How hard of a decision was it to decide what was going to be released as a single before the album came out?
It was really hard, because that was a song that nobody actually thought of releasing. A Little Less Understanding was a song that Tony had I think he had like a verse and a bridge and a chorus, and that was about it. And he played it and said maybe we could turn this into a song, and we were like, yeah, go ahead, finish it up. And then we thought that it was going to be the Japanese bonus track. But somehow it managed to, to end up on the album. And then when we played it for our manager, he was just like, "Oh, that has to be the first single. It's great." And everybody else was like, "What?" So we're gonna have another single still before the album is out, and then there's gonna be a couple of more after the album is out. But yeah, it's really hard to choose singles, and I don't know what kind of process we should invent to do it, because everybody seems to have their own opinion about what should be the single.
Oh yeah, and I can imagine how hard it is on an album like this too, where every song has its own distinct feeling behind it too, and it's just like there's so many different directions that you can showcase the album just from being a single. Yeah, that's true. And it's also, I think it's really unfair towards the album. You put one song out and then people say, "Oh, the album is probably shit because I don't like this song." Or they say the album is great because I like this song, and they're both wrong. So I'm really happy that most metal fans are into still listening to albums, as opposed to just picking a song here and picking a song there. Because, for example, for a band like us, that I think we have a lot of variety in our music, and we don't really benefit from releasing just singles in that respect. But I'm really happy that most of our fans realize that, and they check out the whole album. Oh, absolutely, and I'm one of them as well, too, and I actually did my best to not listen to A Little Less Understanding before I got the full album to be able to check it out for that reason, because I wanted to check out the whole thing as what it was going to be released as the album, because I am still very much the kind of person that wants to be able to enjoy the album from start to finish and have no preconceived notions going into it, just going into it and seeing how I feel about it from start to finish.
Oh yeah, I understand that totally. I mean, that's the thing that I also like to do. If one of my favorite band releases something, I try to not listen to the single before or the singles before, because if you hear one song, then you cannot enjoy the whole album. Like you just said, it makes total sense. It's nicer to just put the whole album on and then get everything at the same time.
Oh, totally. And of course, with that in mind too, I mean, obviously with the album just coming out in just a couple weeks now, and like you mentioned before, you're going to be coming back here to North America for an amazing tour coming up here. What's it like to be able to go from that summer festival circuit over in Europe to being able to do a tour like you're going to be doing here very soon?
I think it's really nice. I prefer to play clubs anyway, so it's like I think like playing festivals, it's nice to go up on a big stage and playing outdoors. There's a lot of bands that we know that you only meet on festivals, friends and stuff like that. And that's why, I think it's nice during the summertime to go out and play a few festivals. But now when we are about to get to the real touring, I'm really looking forward to it, because I think it's so much easier to get a good vibe and to get contact with the audience in the club. The audience is closer, and also you don't have to calculate in factors like the weather, for example, or some stuff like that, but you can control the environment a lot more, like with lights and things like that. So for me, I think that's I love playing clubs. I think that's the best way to play rock and roll.
Oh, I totally agree with that too. I mean, I love the intimacy that's going on with it. I love the full sound that you can get from it too, because you can truly hear everything that's going on with the band, and you don't, like you said, you don't have to worry about different kinds of acoustics. You don't have to worry about the weather that's going on there. You don't have to worry about hearing another band on another stage while you're trying to listen to another band. You get to just hear what is going on in front of you. And with Sonata Arctica, I mean, that's always been my favorite way to be able to see you guys live.
Yeah, I think you're right on the spot here.
Yeah, and of course, with that in mind, I mean, obviously, with being able to promote a new album and going out on a tour like this, I mean, how hard is it to decide how to put together a set list for a new album cycle?
Oh, well, it's pretty much impossible. It gets harder every time. And I think now when we have 10 albums out, we have like 120 or 130 songs that have been recorded and released. And to pick a set list from those songs, it's quite hard to make something that make most of the people happy. I mean, you can't make everybody happy, but especially now when we're coming back on tour, and most of the shows are support shows where we're playing with Camelot. And that means that we're playing like 45 minutes or 1 hour, something like that. And then you try to pick songs from 10 albums and make it be a good representation of the band, and then do it in 45 minutes, for example. It's next to impossible. So we just try to figure out, I mean, there's a lot of songs that we know that will work live, and then we're going to throw in some new stuff, and then just hope somehow that we get it together before the tour is over or something.
Oh, yeah, and, there's a lot of trial and error that goes into it, but, I imagine with like has been the idea behind this album, having it more of like that live feeling, that live sound of what you sound like live. I mean, hopefully that does have a little bit of inspiration of like how to go about things in the live setting when incorporating the other songs in there too, since it's already got that live vibe to it.
Yeah, I think we're not going to have that many difficulties with translating these songs to a live setting. It's just going to be a matter of, I mean, it's still hard because we have to choose which ones to play. But other than that, I think most of the songs on the album are going to work very well live.
Oh, fantastic. And thinking about the album again, I keep looking at the album cover, which is just a thing of beauty to look at. It's such a beautiful album cover. Where did the idea come from to use that?
Well, that was actually something we've been thinking about for quite a few years now, that we wanted to use, or Tony specifically wanted to make an album cover out of a photograph. And he's been talking about it. It would be so nice to have a photo and blah, 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 but not really doing anything about it. And then I stumbled upon this guy called Onni Viljami. He's living a few hours away from us, but he won some photo competition or something. It was just in the news in Finland. And then they showed some of his pictures there, and I looked like, wow, this looks cool. And I went on his homepage, and then I found a portfolio with just the kind of pictures that you will see on the cover and inside the album as well. And I sent the link to Tony, and he was like, this is great. And Tony called the guy up, and they started to work on it. And so he had he had a bunch of really cool pictures ready, and then they just edited them a little bit and changed it. It was like, I think, a daytime picture originally. So they just messed with the coloring to get it to be a nighttime picture and stuff like that. But anyway, I mean, we found a guy who had already taken this picture and then just bought them off him.
Oh, that's awesome to see that too, because when I look at it, I mean, it feels like it's such a perfect Sonata Arctica album cover, and it was great to see that it did have some like real life inspiration that you were able to use, translated just a little bit enough to make it a full on album cover like that. I mean, taking that real life inspiration and making it a Sonata Arctica album, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, and the thing is, like the original picture is quite close to the end product as well. So there was not any massive editing done or something like that. There were just some small details, and it was, yeah, I think it was really cool that we could find it, and I think it reflects like the music and everything. It really works well. It's a really nice album cover.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, and, just thinking about everything that's going on in your world right now, I mean, being able to do the Summer Festival circuit, coming back over here to North America with Camelot in a support slot, and of course, releasing a brand new album the 6th of September. I mean, it's a very busy time in Sonata Arctica, but after this upcoming tour with Camelot, what's going to be coming up next for the band?
Well, we're going home for, I think, 2 weeks, and then we're doing 5 weeks in Europe. And then after the European tour, then it's a Christmas break. And then next spring, we're going to do some more touring. Then we're going to play more shows in Finland. And I think South America was on the table at some point. And then all of a sudden, it's summer again. And we're doing festivals. And next fall, we also have some touring plans still. And so I don't know. I mean, at the moment, I pretty much know our schedule or rough schedule up until next year, and then we'll see what happens next. Usually we tour between 1 and 2 years with each album, around 150 shows. So it's going to be like that for quite some time now when the album comes up.
Oh, yes. And, it's great to see how much that you are able to hit the different parts of the world with each album cycle, too. I mean, the fact that you can go from Europe to North America to South America, and then next year, hopefully hitting even more spots with that as well, too. I mean, it's so great that you're able to hit all these different territories.
Yeah, I mean, we are really, really privileged to be in a position that we can actually do that. And I know a lot of bands who can't, even though the bands are great, and so I think that we are really lucky also. I mean, we've been working really hard for quite some time now, but still, I really appreciate that people show us that they love our music, because whenever we show up, people show up to see the shows, and that gives us a chance to come back again. And so really, for us, this is our dream job, and I think it's really amazing that we can do this still.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with that, that's an amazing note to end on. Thank you so very much for being able to talk to me about everything going on in the world of Sonata Arctica right now. Brand new album, all this amazing touring that's going to be currently going on, will be going in the next year. And of course, with this brand new album, which feels like a perfect representation of where Sonata Arctica is in 2019 right now. I love where you guys are at right now. And again, I truly appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk to me about all of it.
No worries, man, and thanks for the kind words. I mean, I'm really glad you like the album. It's going to be really fun to come over once again and play some shows.
Oh, absolutely. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
No, I don't know. I think we pretty much covered the essentials. The album is coming out and we're going back on tour. That's pretty much it, right?